Before we get to the castle, we're going to start at this pavilion. Because if there's one place that, in its own way, tells the story of Central Park's evolution of great design and great designers, deterioration and then restoration, this painted pavilion is it. We'll start back in the 1860s. The architect of the park, Calvert Vaux, wanted to build a second castle on this spot. But when finances ran low, and later when Vaux left the park, a new designer stepped in. His name was JacobWreyMould.
JacobWreyMould was not quite so interested in finishing the castle.
Cynthia Brenwell, conservator at the New York City Municipal Archives.
JacobWreyMould is the kind of forgotten architect of the park. He is the visionary of color and design.
His cost-saving solution was to scrap the second castle and instead build a fanciful wooden pavilion that looked very similar to this one.
My name is Denise Keaveney, and I am a registered architect working with Central Park Conservancy. You have the experience of a heavy building on one side, which is the castle, and then you have the wooden structure, which is much more transparent and open. I think it actually turned out pretty well.
Made out of wood, the pavilion did not last. It deteriorated and within a few short years was torn down. For over 100 years, this corner of the Belvedere stood empty, except for the stone pillars that once held up the pavilion. It's the early 1980s. The Central Park Conservancy is a brand new organization founded to preserve and protect the park. They decide to restore the Belvedere Castle and honor its original appearance. They rebuilt this pavilion, but didn't have enough funds to include the tower that once topped it off.
You have reached your destination.
It's 2017. That's the year Denise Keaveney and her colleagues begin a second major restoration at the Belvedere, and it's most comprehensive by far.
We looked at the photographs to become more historically accurate in our detailing than what had been previously done.
This pavilion becomes a particular focus of their work. Walk inside and look up in the lower left-hand corner. That's the base of the tower that the Conservancy decides to finally rebuild. This time, with an extra bit of TLC.
We actually had to introduce some structural steel, which is clad in wood. You would have no idea that there's steel there, but that's what it took to make sure that it would remain for a long time to come.
Design, deterioration, and triumphant restoration. That's 150 years of Central Park history in a nutshell. In a few minutes, you can hear about another Conservancy effort at the castle. For the next stop on the tour, head toward the smaller pavilion.